Turnkey with Morgan Francis, sponsored by Integrity Roofing.
Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate in the Carolinas. We dive into the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. A lot of people move to the Carolinas from somewhere else because why wouldn't they? It's wonderful here. But what should you know when you make that move? What are some of the things that you should check off your list when you're shopping for a home? To help us dive into that topic, we're going to bring in Amanda Crosby. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're the expert on moving because you did that from
California, Southern California, about 11 years ago. Yep.
So why did you move from California to the Carolinas?
I've had friends that lived here, and I never really traveled anywhere, and I just never gone out of Southern California. Very much workaholic into real estate, and I traveled out here, got on the lake, and it was amazing. And so I just I relocated here, and I wanted to live this lifestyle of Lake Norman.
So you did real estate in California.
Yes.
You're licensed still in California?
Yep, correct.
So let's dive into that, because for a real estate agent, they can't just operate anywhere once they get their license, right? They have to be licensed in that particular state.
Correct. Yep.
So what are kind of some of the nuances of California versus North Carolina?
Well, it's very different type of selling. As a position as a real estate agent, and then also as a homeowner. I'm an investor, I'm a homeowner, so I've done it several times, and it's very different here because in North Carolina, you have what's called a due diligence period. In California, you do not. So California, you have one deposit, it's refundable, you have 17 days to inspect the home, whereas North Carolina, you have a due diligence, which is 2 deposits. That's your first deposit up front, which is non-refundable. So if, say it's $5,000, $10,000, I'm going to go buy myself an English Bulldog. I don't have to get it back.
Right.
And then, so it's hard to understand that because you have money up front right away. And then you have your inspection period, which is negotiable. California, it's very, this is the way it is. North Carolina, it's very give and take. It's negotiating. And so it's different to wrap your head around it, especially if you've been buying, if you've lived in California for a long time and bought several houses, it's just very different. And that's what I hear from my California people.
So do you see, or did you see in California more people backing out of the deal because they know they can get that due diligence? Well, there is no due diligence.
Right.
There's no skin in the game.
There's no skin in the game, and I guess that's a lot of the reason why North Carolina has made this a due diligence state. But I see both sides of it. So I see that California, you can go in and inspect, and if there's mold or if there's some drastic issues with that home, you can back out and get your money back and move on. Where in North Carolina, you're really entrusting these sellers to complete the disclosures correctly and not to withhold any problem with that home, or whether that be a survey issue. Because it's up to the buyers. If there's not a survey, it's up to the buyers to go in and pay anywhere from $500 to $1,300 to get a survey done. And it's your information. But if there's an encroachment, if there's an issue, your due diligence, you cannot get that back. And so, but I also see where back in the day when we had the short sale days, and those were wild, let me tell you, where you had, 2 to 5 offers on a home, it makes the buyers accountable. So
I would imagine that, in North Carolina, there's an opportunity to say, well, okay, we're under contract, but the inspection came back and there are all these issues. And like you said, there's there's negotiating back and forth, and there's an ability to get some of these things fixed. Does that happen at all in California?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, because it's also going to be a material fact. So then if you don't get it fixed there, if you don't get it fixed in that transaction, you have to acknowledge it to other potential buyers. And so it's still going to be an issue. So why not fix it when you have a current transaction, which you fix it, it should be closing soon. You don't fix it, go back on the market. You have to pay your mortgage again. Just the time from, whether you're relocating or what you're doing. You might as well just fix it then.
When someone's not familiar with North Carolina and is looking to purchase here, what are some of the things that they need to think about that they might not think about coming from another state?
Well, just that, like myself, I know from California, we don't have basement homes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of septics, so it's just educating yourself on those things. There's the soils in the ground, like the radon. We don't have a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
or at least where I was at in
Clay.
California. Right. It's just the red clay. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's some pretty gnarly stuff, right? And then just getting to know the areas, I would say too. I get a lot of questions asked about that where um, people want to come in and they just want to view homes. Like, I want to go, I found this home online and I want to view this house. Well, it's like, I say take a trip and spend a couple days, at least if you're here for a week, spend a couple of days
Mm-hmm.
and just live your life like you would normally.
Mm-hmm.
Go to breakfast. Find a couple great, I'm happy I have a whole novel about different areas that I compare from Southern California to here in Lake Norman, Mooresville, Cornelius areas, Davidson. But spend the morning going, if you like to go shopping or if you want to go for a walk or if you want, where you want to go to dinner, like spend it like it's a vacation, like you're living here already.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll look at the houses in that price point, because that's also easy to say, this is the price point of this subdivision. These are the taxes if you're in Iredell, Mecklenburg County, the difference to all of that.
Right.
Like that stuff's easy, but.
Well, especially if you're buying, waterfront property,
Right.
Taxes can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like Mountain Island Lake, there are 2 different counties on that lake as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference there, Gaston and Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
How do you balance wanting to get that new client and also not playing tour guide and taking them all around Lake Norman, because that would take you a while to circle Lake Norman.
Yeah, I know. It is pretty wild, especially because the east side versus west side and all that. I just had new clients that went online and read my profile on our website, on Lake Norman Realty's website, and they reached out to me and I had a phone conversation. And not that I'm trying to boast about myself, but it's a reality of what I just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to the husband and I had maybe a 15-minute call. When people call me, I answer my phone. So he called me, picked up on the first ring. I talked to him for about 15 minutes and I treat them as if I was talking to myself as a new person coming here and just wanting someone to give me guidance. And so I asked them what they needed and desired in a home and the reality of it. Because I tell myself, as much as I want more business, I also don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste their time.
Yeah.
And so just being myself and the reality of what I know. And so I talked to him for about 15 minutes. We hung up knowing that we were going to have an email correspondence between his wife and myself. And then I have taken the time again to sit down and write about, not too long because people get distracted and they, 5 seconds and they're gone, but just about the areas. What you have versus Costco, malls, shopping, volunteering, Lake Norman State Park or what have you. And in talking to them, writing this, they were just impressed that I took the time to really put their needs first, which is not wasting their time either. And I think people appreciate that. And having conversations, and if it doesn't work out, then I'm happy. I want them to work out with somebody else. So let's talk about the things that we need to up front.
I think there's information overload too when you're looking to relocate, and too much can be a real thing. And all of a sudden, this potential client of yours is like, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore
at this point.
So keeping it small and just checking off those boxes. Okay, what's next? What do I need to research after that? Is extremely helpful. I want to take a quick commercial break because when we come back, we're going to talk about whether or not, if you're selling a home, should you have an inspection done before you list it? Amanda's going to help us dive into that. More Turnkey after this. Welcome back to Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We have Amanda Crosby here who specializes in relocating because, Amanda, you did it yourself from California to North Carolina. Yep. You do a lot in the Lake Norman area, it sounds like. But I wanted to dive into the inspection process because I think a lot of people, when they look at having that inspection done, they think, we're tacking on, another, $500, $600, $700 or whatever it may cost to have the inspection done. And especially if you're selling your home, you think, well, why doesn't the buyer just do that? And I just deal with it whenever the inspection comes back. What do you recommend?
Well, so buyer representation. I know that we go inside a house and it looks beautiful. And it's
Fresh
very
paint
clean.
job.
Fresh,
Yeah.
right, clean. And you look on the disclosures and you read HVAC's newer and you think everything's great. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and we won't do one. I trust them. I say, you never know. You never know. And the homeowners may not know, but, I say an average inspection, let's just say around $450. And then you can tack on, it's like going to get a meal. You know what I mean? You can tack on a la carte. Like, do I want a radon test? $150. Do I want termite? I mean, those extra couple $100, it does add up, but it'll save you something in the future if there's a bigger issue outlying, because the seller side to it is we don't go in, who goes in their crawl space that often, I mean, I do because I store a few things down there, but I mean, who really does? And so
Right. I'm too afraid of snakes to go down there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll shine a flashlight in there and
I
see
know.
if there's anything going on. But
I know. And that's exactly,
Yeah.
we don't have snakes, at least. Well, the copperheads, they don't make noise. Rattlesnakes do. But so for the seller's side, I would say, you have your listing here and I say you put it up on a pedestal. So depending on the inventory is still lower here, but how do you compete with somebody else that may be in the same neighborhood, same type of criteria, boat slip, what have you? You can go in and you can have a home inspection done and you can fix or repair anything that might be a big ticket item for the buyer, because a water leak underneath a sink that may cost anywhere from $200 to $500 might be a deal breaker for that buyer. It might be.
Well, they're going to ask to get it fixed anyways.
Well, they're going to ask to get it fixed anyways, but you don't want to scare them off. And my thing is why not serve over your house on a silver platter? Why not say, look, I had a home inspection done and this is everything. This is the way the current home is and this is what I had repaired. So maybe those people feel more confident in offering more due diligence because it might be a competitive offer at that point when you have multiple offers, or they offer more in the sales price because they feel like, wow, look at these people. This house is really something that I want, and they've already gone ahead and done these things for me.
Well, I think you want to buy from a responsible homeowner because you know that they've maintained it and taken care of everything.
Right.
Nothing is more unnerving than looking at a property disclosure and seeing that every single no representation box is checked all the way down. And then you're like, well, this person either doesn't care or they know something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when you're trying to make your biggest investment, like that doesn't instill a lot of confidence.
Right. It's unfortunate.
So you recommend the sellers just bite the bullet, have it done, get the big things fixed, and everything else that might be a small thing, like outlets or little things that you see, because the inspection's always going to be that thick. Every time anyway.
Right. And I mean, because then I also treat things like I would. And just it's simple to have conversations. And I 100%, because I'm an investor and I have short-term rentals and I'm thinking about purchasing. Oh, I'm going to purchase another one. And a little bit of me, as much as I love my house, I'm thinking about short-terming my house out. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to do a home inspection even for that, because I just want to know what I'm working with,
It's not a bad thing.
No, I think it's
know.
great, because if there is something wrong, like what do I want? I want the most dollar that I can for my house. And so I know that I'm going to get that if I know what I'm working with.
So let's talk about that in terms of the most dollar for your house price point. The appraiser, it's always like the one thing that you're waiting to get back is the appraisal. How do they look at calculating a home versus how the real estate agent figures out comps?
Okay, that's a very good question. And it's also kind of a loaded question.
That's my second loaded question so far.
I know. Well, in this business, I feel like there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But so I just had an appraiser call me recently, because it's all personal opinion. You and I could be appraisers, meaning that we're all just human. And we all have our own opinions, just like we have an opinion of, do you want to live on the east side versus the west side of the lake?
Right. Sunrise, sunset. Yeah.
Right. Log cabin, brick home. So I had an appraiser reach out to me recently, and he called me on a listing, and he said, and he was great, and he was kind, and he said, hey, he's like, I just want to get it's under contract, and I want to get your opinion of what you think about your listing versus an appraisal that I'm doing right now. And it was a refinance. It wasn't something that was actively on the open market, but it's a matter of opinion. So I go in and I look at a few things. So we're talking about living on the water. We're talking about lake life, like maybe not on the water, but you have a deeded boat slip or community boat slip, and people want to live that lake life. So I'll go in and I'll look at comps that have sold a couple different ways. I'm going to look at it like, okay, they want to live the lake life. So is that down Brawley School Road? Is that down Isle of Pines? Is that down Langtree? Because that's lake life, but they're also two different locations. Right. So you look at recent sales. Obviously, we do the square footage, the bedrooms, is that have a deeded boat slip, that type of thing. And if you don't have more recent sales, you maybe go out further in the time rather than further in geographical location. But this appraiser was doing an appraisal on basically Lake Davidson. And so that's a big difference.
Huge difference because and maybe so many people drive 77 in that area every day. Yep. And I would be willing to bet most of them probably don't realize Lake Davidson does not connect to Lake Norman.
Correct.
So it's a much smaller, intimate lake, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for Lake Norman, where you can open up a boat for 30 minutes and not hit the north side of the lake,
right?
You shouldn't be looking at Lake Davidson. So there's probably a big difference there in price point. All right, well, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about kind of day in the life of what it means to be a real estate agent. We're gonna tap into your social media. But stay tuned, everyone out there. More Turnkey after this.
My face is sweating. Everything's sweating. It's gross. How are you? And she said, I am starving. I am hangry. I'm about to lose my mind. She said, I'm so hungry because I've been going. And I just started laughing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you. I was like, I just love your honesty.
Welcome back to Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. I'm joined by Amanda Crosby. Amanda, I love this. You the hot dog in the car. You have your cooler with you, your chips, all your snacks.
I'm a hungry girl, and I like to be prepared.
I respect that because I like to have my snacks throughout the day, and I also get hangry when I don't have my snacks. Yeah. But this is what people probably don't realize is I think they have this idea that real estate agent is so professional and put together, which you are all of that.
To an extent, correct.
But my God, when it gets hot out or...
Miserable. I mean, humidity, especially coming from Southern California. I've been here 11 years, but good Lord. I mean, my hair is naturally straight, but naturally curly. And as soon as I go inside, it's like
Monica Geller
from Friends. Yes. That's exactly who I feel like. But, I think I have a plan every day because I look at my schedule the night before, the week before, because I have a lot going on. Yeah. Whether it's buyers, sellers, people in town, do I have an inspection to go to? Am I anticipating maybe a phone call from a client because I know that they have this going on soon, or I know that they're just going to want to talk, whatever it is. Right. So, I mean, whether it's sandals, a dress, boots, if I'm going out to walk a lot, it rains here in North Carolina because we have storms. Right. Umbrella. My snacks. Of course, my snacks. Because good Lord.
Can you imagine if you have one of those days where you're just going from showing to showing to showing, and then maybe someone takes up that 30 minutes that you were going to go get
so excited to go get a turkey sandwich. Yeah.
It's very specific.
I love turkey sandwiches.
But so you kind of live out of your car a little bit.
I do. I live out of my car. And it's kind of embarrassing to an extent because it's like in the back seat, whether I've got a piece of furniture or something, like a staging piece. Like right now in my car, I have a big beach frame, and then I've got some packages that go back to Amazon, but like just random soups or whatever. And just kind of throw it in the back, but make sure that my Yeti cooler is seat belted, buckled in with whatever I want with its, snacks throughout the day. And because I just live out of that thing.
What are some of the misconceptions that you feel like people have when it comes to real estate agents?
That they are, that they're almost like a perfect Barbie doll in a way, where you have this business sophisticated person. And yes, that's me to an extent. But we're just like you and I. Like when you guys want to break for lunch or you have to hurry up to get here, or you're getting a call from a family member that you really need to take, like that's us as well. You know?
Do you feel like you understood what you were getting into when you first started doing real estate in California and then moved there? No? What did you think it was?
I knew that when I moved to Carlsbad when I was 18 and from Redlands, I knew that everybody needed a place to live. And I knew because I rented, you know, and I wanted to be a part of that world, and then if not own it. You know, if I wanted to be, so like I am an investor. I have short-term rentals that it's the American dream, and I love to help people, and it's all I've ever done. So I feel like, not that I'm the best out there because there's tons of great real estate agents, but I've seen a lot and I want to help you. And I didn't realize everything that goes into it because, you know, I've been on the phone for hours on end. There's just a lot. I'm like, I have so much. How much time do you have?
I wish we had more time. I really do. Because there's just so much that you can talk about when
there
it comes
really is. Yeah. And it's a transaction, whether you're in the buyer spot or the seller spot, because we got to talk about
an emotional transaction.
Exactly. You have people that have lived in their homes for 20 years that have raised their kids. And so packing up these boxes and having the buyers come in and want to do inspections when they're so excited, but at the same time, it's really hard because the sellers are packing up where their child went from, where they brought their child home to where they, you know, had their graduation party. And it's just having all of those conversations up front and understanding your person. And that's why also where I said before that, you know, there's a lot of really good real estate agents out there that I work with, not just at my firm, but at other firms. I call everyone my colleague. And, you know, that I feel like I've put a good name for myself because there's a lot more that goes beyond just a transaction as well. But just making sure that you have the right agent to help you through those times, you know?
To stay calm when you're not. Yeah. Well, Amanda, I really appreciate you coming on our show. We've had a lot of fun and hopefully have learned a thing or two. Real quick before we go, what is the number 1 or 2 thing that you need to have in the Yeti before you head out for the day?
Carrots and ranch.
Carrots and ranch. Yeah, okay, I didn't see that one coming. I saw the Lay's chips in the video.
Those are, carrots and ranch, and I would say probably the string cheese.
String cheese, that's a solid one. I think I saw there's a hot dog. That was from the golf course?
I love me a hot dog. A golf course hot dog. I mean, that's my ultimate go-to.
Well, thanks, Amanda, for coming on the show. I hope that this summer treats you well and that you aren't, dripping in sweat too much like all the other agents.
Just be kind. If you see me out there, throw me a hot dog or throw me some food.
All right. I like to hear that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone else out there who watched this episode of Turnkey. We will see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.